This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Campbell Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, staff at Dunedin's Botanic Garden have weighed one of their largest corms to see if it'll flower this year. After 11 years, the gates to Queenstown's Deer Park Heights open to the public today. And everything is free now, that's what they say, at St Vincent de Paul's in South Dunedin. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Daryl Baser. Staff at Dunedin's Botanic Garden have weighed one of their largest corms to see if it'll flower this year. In 2018, the garden's Amorphophallus titanum flowered, putting it into the record books as the southernmost flowering plant in its species. From little acorns, mighty oaks can grow, and from 30 plus kilogram corms, huge stinky flowers can bloom. This Amorphophallus titanum has been at Dunedin's Botanic Garden for more than a decade, and at its weigh-in, its caretaker remembers when he could hold it in his hand, not needing 3 people to lift it.
We got it the size of a golf ball. The tuber was about the size of a golf ball. We've just measured it today and it was now up to about 37 kgs, so in that time it's increased quite a bit.
Gardens curator Stephen Bishop says the corm may not look like it's doing much, but it's busy gathering strength, ready to either produce a flower or just a 46 metre high leaf. Sadly for those looking to take a whiff of the flower's distinctive odour, Bishop is pretty sure they'll have to wait a bit longer.
It's a good question. Yeah, there's a very small chance. I think it's just probably going to go into leaf this time, so we'll see it put up a leaf that should last for about 18 months. There's probably, I would say, about a 10% chance of it flowering this time round. So probably we're going to have to wait another 2 years and then I'll be a lot more confident that it will flower then.
In 2018, it became the first in the world of its genus to flower this far south, attracting thousands of people to the winter gardens. Bishop says it takes between 18 months to 2 years to recover from flowering, as the plant uses a considerable amount of energy to bloom.
I made a very big call that I thought it was going to flower, and fortunately I was actually correct in that. And that generated a lot of excitement for members of the Dunedin public to come along and have a look.
The reason the huge flower produces the smell of rotting flesh is to attract pollinators, in an attempt to procreate with another Amorphophallus titanum. In 2018, Botanic Garden staff and botanists from the University of Otago collected and froze pollen, hoping to help another in the species produce baby stinky plants. As for this 37 kg monster corm, it's just an adolescent, with plenty of growing to do, and may reach more than 70 kilograms at full maturity, at which point they'll be getting even bigger custom pots made. In Dunedin, The South Today. Investigators are still trying to determine how a blaze in a Mosgiel home started last night. A single-storey house in Oban Street was well involved when firefighters arrived about 8:30 p.m. 2 crews from the Mosgiel Volunteer Fire Brigade were joined by firefighters from Lookout Point and Roslyn. Fire and Emergency New Zealand say their crews entered the house about 9:30 and extinguished the fire inside. A fire investigator has been on the site today, and no one was injured in the blaze. After 11 years, the gates to Queenstown's Deer Park Heights opened to the public today. The iconic Peninsula Hill at Kelvin Heights has been in the same family since the 1960s and was the area's only successful non-sporting attraction until it shut in 2009. Deer Park Heights closed its doors to the general public 11 years ago, but the station's owner says it's now time to throw open the gates.
Because the bloke's got to make a buck, but not mostly actually, we think it should be open to the public. I think it's a magnificent place for people to come and have a look around and see share the animals and look at the view.
Owner Mike Mee says since closing to the public, the farm has been operating as a breeding and finishing deer farm, which will continue. But he's looking forward to giving people a rural experience.
You'll see animals and you'll be able to feed goats and deer, and we've got llamas and pigs and donkeys and horses.
While it's been closed to the public, the scenic spot has featured in several movies, including Lord of the Rings and Wolverine. Mee says it'll be nice to see people coming back, especially sharing the excitement of kids experiencing country life. Deer Park Heights is due to open on October the 20th. In Queenstown, the South Today. A familiar face will sit in the Highlanders' head coaching seat next season. The Dunedin-based Super Rugby franchise announced today former Highlander and All Black Tony Brown will take over the role. Brown has signed up to coach the team for the next 2 seasons and then is due to move to Japan for the World Cup in 2023. Highlanders Chief Executive Roger Clark says Brown is already planning for 2021. As well as Japan's national side, Brown has also coached the Otago provincial team. Former coach Aaron Major left at the end of the season after 3 years in charge. A South Dunedin op shop has ditched its price tags and is giving items away for free. A queue formed at the door of St Vincent de Paul's in King Edward Street yesterday for the beginning of Free Week, which is set to continue until Friday. Buying from second-hand or op shops can be an economical way to buy life's essentials or even gloriously frivolous items, regardless of your income bracket. But imagine if for a week everything in an op shop was free. That's exactly what St Vincent de Paul are doing in South Dunedin.
We've thrown the idea around for a while. Yeah, we've brought it up from time to time, and now it just seems like the right time to do it.
Sarah Strang says 2020 has been a challenging year for many people as the impacts of COVID-19 are felt, prompting the women at the helm of St Vincent de Paul to run with their idea in their King Edward Street store.
Yeah, particularly down this area of town. That was your
I think
idea.
so, yeah.
Doing it in town, and Lindley thought that this area would benefit most from it.
I think it's nice to give back to the community that, you know, these generous people give to us. And so it's nice to give back something, just have a treat.
There's seemingly no limit to the amount of clothing, crockery, children's books and toys available for people to take. Typically, everything in the shop is usually $1 or under, which the organisation says just covers the store's rent and power costs. The Free Week ends Friday, October the 23rd. In Dunedin, the South Today. And still to come on the South Today, an 88-year-old cyclist smashes a 100-kilometre ride, and we have the 7th part in our earthquake series. See you after the break.
All new episodes of Put Some Colour in Your Life are now screening on Channel 39. Take a look at Australian artists and the techniques they use in their studio. Put Some Colour in Your Life, Tuesdays, 7:30.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hi, Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. And check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
No mai no, welcome back. An Invercargill octogenarian has clocked up 100 kilometres on a push bike in the name of charity. But he says he's not done yet and intends to do even more when he turns 90. Fresh from completing a 100-kilometre cycle ride, Invercargill octogenarian Peter Grandiak is ready for the next challenge.
What's planned for next year?
Be 90. I'll have to do 120.
He's thankful for the peloton of riders who came on his journey. A few years ago, Grandiak set himself the goal of raising money for St John and has raised thousands so far.
It's been a challenge from 4 or 5 years back when it started. And to do 100 k's on my 89th birthday. And then I was just going to do it, and then it started to snowball, and then I made it fundraiser for St John's. And when I left the house this morning, we raised over $6,000 already.
The senior Southland cyclist took to the region's roads with a support crew of about 20 riders, including ex-Olympians Glenn McClay and Barry Harcourt. It took the riders just over 4 hours to complete the 100-kilometre journey, and Peter Grandiak's teammates reckon they managed to get up to speeds of around 48 kilometres an hour. But that was with a tailwind. In Invercargill, the South Today. Tonight we present another chapter in our 10-part series on Dunedin's risk of an earthquake similar in magnitude to the one which damaged Christchurch 10 years ago. This time we look at the potential fate of Dunedin's historic buildings during a catastrophic earthquake event.
Dunedin's Mayor Aaron Hawkins recalls public campaigns to save government-owned buildings, such as the Category 1 historic Dunedin Courthouse, built in 1902. The building was looking likely to be demolished, only to be saved by a public campaign calling for it to be made more earthquake resilient.
The city wanted that building to be restored and used for its intended purpose, and that was a very strong, publicly driven campaign that convinced government to spend far more money than they were probably prepared to on Dunedin's court services, and just that was testament to the public mood, and a generation before that, the work that this city have done and the community did to refurbish and repurpose the Dunedin railway station, which is an iconic architectural asset.
And the Dunedin City Council is also getting behind the retrofitting of heritage buildings by assisting financially with getting engineers' assessments of buildings. DCC Heritage Advisor Dr Andrea Farminer says the council is hoping to help towards the cost of strengthening some buildings as well.
Particularly if they're part of or within a heritage precinct, it gives a much broader scope to actually be able to financially assist and incentivise some of that earthquake assessment work in the first place, and hopefully later on some of the strengthening work as well.
The objective is not just to help preserve the city's historic feel, but also to make the buildings and surrounding footpath much safer than similar ones were in the Christchurch earthquakes.
So in a way, encouraging owners to upgrade their facades, which many have done, continue to do, especially along George Street, along Princess Street, along many of our Stewart Street, the Octagon, along many of our prime pedestrian frontages, has the benefit of public safety first and foremost, but it does have the side benefit, you might say, of also then actually helping to retain, hopefully, all being well, in the event of an earthquake, our actual heritage buildings.
And Dunedin Civil Defence Emergency Manager Glenn Mitchell says he remains hopeful that in the event of a major earthquake hitting the city, the old brick and masonry buildings would be less hard hit than those in central Christchurch.
And I guess there's an element of quiet confidence, rightly or wrongly, that a lot of our heritage buildings have a very different ground structure underneath them than ones in Christchurch did. And so we look at the likes of First Church on Bell Hill and what have you, reasonably confident that it's on pretty solid rock and shouldn't experience the same sort of impact that the likes of the Christchurch Cathedral did.
In Dunedin, the South Today.
And after the break on the South Today, we catch up with Dunedin rally driver Emma Gilmore after her successful weekend, and we have a look at your midweek weather. So see you after the break.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
Hi, Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
All new episodes of Put Some Colour in Your Life are now screening on Channel 39. Take a look at Australian artists and the techniques they use in their studio. Put Some Colour in Your Life. Tuesdays, 7:30.
Thanks for staying with us. Dunedin rally driver Emma Gilmore nearly hung up her overalls and retired from motorsport last year. But her choice to hang in there has paid off with a return to a podium finish at the weekend. Surgence in form is sliding into place for Dunedin-based rally driver Emma Gilmore.
Yeah, well, so we finished third, and it was great to be on the podium because it has been a very long time with the the disappointments we've had. The last time I was on the podium was when I won in Canterbury in 2016, so it's been a while. So it was a really nice feeling to be back there.
It's been 4 years between podium finishes for Gilmore, which the multi-trophy winning driver says has been tough. So tough, in fact, she nearly called time on her career.
Yeah, well, we had a pretty tough season last year. We had a lot of reliability issues with the car, and come that last event in August last year, I did a bit of soul searching. I was pretty near breaking point because I'd had so many disappointments for so long.
She says being back behind the wheel of her customary souped-up Suzuki Swift and sliding around gravel roads at Rally Bay of Plenty has reminded her why she does it. She says competing for the first time since August 2019 has been excellent.
It was awesome, fantastic to be rallying again. We're at the Rally Bay of Plenty, and although not a national championship round this year because we've got no national championship due to COVID, it was just amazing to be driving again. So it's been a really long off season for me. Last rally I'd actually competed in was August last year.
She remains Dunedin based, working by day in her car dealership, while her rally team is Auckland based these days. And it's in the city of Sales where she's next due to race, at the Jacks Ridge Rally Sprint and the Auckland Rally. In Dunedin, the South Today. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Staff at Dunedin's Botanical Garden have weighed one of their largest corms to see if the Amorphophallus titanum will flower this year. After 11 years, the gates to Queenstown's Deer Park Heights have opened to the public today. And everything is free now, this week only at St Vincent de Paul's in South Dunedin, as the Op Shop holds its first free week. Time now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's Otago Daily Times. We welcome the editor, Barry Stewart. Hi Barry.
Hello Daryl. Free clothes, that's not a bad deal, is it? You can't get better than that.
Indeed.
Eh?
Even cheaper than mine.
Yeah. 11 international seamen have tested positive for COVID-19 whilst in a quarantine facility in Christchurch, despite testing negative as they boarded their charter plane into New Zealand. Another 14 cases are under further investigation, according to Ministry of Health. That's relevant particularly when we're talking about borders, of course, and we have a couple of fishing boats from Russia in the port of Otago, so there we'll see the fate of those seamen and where they go and how long they stay there. But it's an interesting story. Trainee builders in Dunedin have worked together to create a tiny home. So we take a look inside that tiny home and talk to the people concerned. So some interesting stories, backstories there about how they got into that role, left various other jobs and some through COVID, and they've taken up an apprenticeship and performing really well, so it's a good news story. Rabbit explosion in the Otago Peninsula is causing damage to biodiversity, exotic gardens and the marae grounds, so we go down there and have a look at the damage caused. Plenty happening on the sporting front, and of course you had a piece before about Tony Brown been appointed Highlanders coach, replacing Aaron Major. So I think Tony Brown's a crowd favourite, an Otago local. So good to have him back in the fold. And something of a shock selection, Otago prop George Bauer has been called into the All Blacks to go to Australia for the Tri Nations. So Bauer's 28 and he comes into the team with Joe Moody under an injury cloud with a head injury.
Nice call, and nice call up for him.
Indeed.
Yeah, thanks for that, Barry.
Thank you.
All that and more in tomorrow's ODT. Time now for a look at
Tonight's
the weather.
proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, taken off Kowhai in bloom at Dunedin's Botanical Garden. Looking at the situation, mostly fine for a few days as an anticyclone dominates New Zealand's weather pattern ahead of some rain on Sunday. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, where it's partly cloudy, Westport is set for 14 degrees. Greymouth is also due to be a little grey and 15 degrees. And heading to the northeast, Nelson heads for slightly cloudy skies and 19 degrees. And the sun may peek through the clouds in Blenheim, where you're due to have 21 degrees. In Canterbury, it should be cloudy in this area too, 15 degrees in Kaikoura, 17 and a grey day in Christchurch, cloudy as well in Ashburton, and you're heading for 16 degrees. And in the southern towns, plan for light westerlies and some cloud for all of you down here. The Catlins should reach 14, while Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore should all manage 15 degrees. Popping across to central Otago, expect light winds and cloudy skies across this area. Wanaka and Alexandra are set to be the warmest here, heading for 19 degrees. Queenstown slightly cooler, aiming for 18, and Tiano is literally the coolest place this side of the island, heading for 14 degrees. To the northern towns, the land with a long grey cloud continues here too, with variable winds on the coast. Timaru looks at 16 degrees and Oamaru heads for 15. There are light winds and some cloud further inland. Twizel should reach 18 degrees and one more for Omarama as you're due for 19 degrees. In Dunedin, cloudy tonight with northeasterlies and an overnight low of 8 degrees. Mostly cloudy skies from first thing tomorrow, but the sun breaks through during the morning with a few sunny periods at times, a high of 13 and a low of 8. Similar weather on Thursday, low cloud morning and evening with sunny periods during the day, a high of 15 and a low of 9. Heading down to Invercargill, fine and cold tonight with an overnight low of a brisk 2 degrees, fine and sunny at first tomorrow, but cloud increases during the day, a high of 15 and a low of 8. Similar weather on Thursday, sunny periods with some cloud and moderate westerlies, a high of 15 and a low of 9. And that's all from the South Today team for this Tuesday. For the latest news from the southern region, go to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening. Tā kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Campbell Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.